Okay, using the cats and this urban wild space as a backdrop because I don't need to show my face. I explained why in the previous video. I'm going to now explain to the best of my ability in a short time more details, more clarification on the postings that we put for the job offer and for the application / crowdfunding campaign that we want worked on. The purpose is very simple. We want to feed everyone in the world because we know that it can be done. We want to prove that it can be done to people who don't believe it can be done. We're focusing first on children. Why? Because I explained that in the previous video. So understand that the whole mission here is to feed the children. We have two projects. One is global. When I say global, I don't mean just in the United States. So this can be applied in the United States, because for some people that's the entire world. And I mean that not necessarily with respect in the sense that I respect that, but I respect the fact that that's the way it is. So there's two campaigns, which are three. One is to feed the children in Israel, regardless of who they are, whether they're Jewish or not, whether they're Muslim or not, whether they're children of Israel or not, whether they're Christian or not. It doesn't make a difference, because children are children, and they aren't anything as far as their faith until someone puts it in their head. And if they're not fed properly, it's not their fault. If they're fed the wrong things, whether it's propaganda, whether it's lies, whether it's suffering, or whether it's the wrong food, they can't be held accountable, which is why we have generations of people that are carrying the trauma and the poison of the past to the future for no sensible reasons. And if you need more explanation of that, watch the movie You People that just came out. I'll get a slightly better idea of understanding that. So moving right along, the purpose is to feed all children. There's a plan for in Israel, and there's a plan all over the world. The plan for in Israel is explained in the Juicer campaign, which is a crowdfunding campaign that we did a draft of 4 years ago to prove the concept. I'm trying to explain what that means because thus far too many people don't understand what I'm trying to say. It means 4 years ago we were commissioned to do that campaign. The problem is that it didn't make any sense then. It was impossible to do the things that it says in the campaign to do. But the way that we can make things possible in this world, if you want to quote St. Francis of Assisi, to start by doing what's necessary, then by doing what's possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible. In more modern terms, start with what's possible, then make it probable, and if you can show that it's profitable, somewhere, somehow, an algorithm will pick it up and do it. That's the notion behind why that campaign was designed the way it was designed 4 years ago, when it made no sense. Since then, and it was never launched, it was never made public. It was shared strategically in many different ways since, but never public. It was never launched. And that's for many different specific reasons, which we can get into. So the design, the concept, is all the messages that are in the Juicer campaign. Listen carefully. It is not the design of the Juicer campaign. All the messages, all the options, the sum total of the Juicer campaign is what it takes to make feeding the world and feeding children for free possible, because it takes existing resources and it manages them more properly. Done right, it is a self-propagating, self-fulfilling system, the proof of which is that since it was designed when it made no sense 4 years ago, Google or however else you search your information, what people were doing, thinking, and talking about 4 years ago, and see what's available now, and you'll realize how the world is transformed secretly, quietly, behind the scenes. And yes, there was Corona and so many other things, but all those things happened behind the scenes that now the things in that campaign actually make sense. And that's where we are today. Meaning, since everything in that campaign makes sense today, just a question of how you apply it and who you apply it to, that's the question of politics, that's the question of will, that's the question of who's going to get it. We want it to be for everyone, which is why we want you, whoever you are, to take it and put your flavor on it. Make this, if you had children that you cared about yourself, don't ask me what I want. I want every single child to be fed. I'm telling you, take this. If you understand anything that it says there, if you understand anything about how things work today, if you're in the position to help, you should. Take that concept, take the information in there, study it and modify it to any population that's important to you, and create a campaign for that. If you can do that on any level of proficiency, we will take it to the next level. We need multiple campaigns to cover all the different minority demographics. That's the point. Putting them together creates a majority that doesn't represent anyone. Because unfortunately, nobody identifies as a them, everyone identifies as an us. The them are the people that aren't being served, and the us are the people that are trying to make a difference. So I want everyone to consider this their personal project, or at any position of power. If you have any kind of constituency, this is for you. Unfortunately, all those people are too bogged down with explaining why they can't help anybody, so they can't do this themselves. That's why we're calling on you, the graphic designer, the programmer, the person who claims to have the communication tools, but you don't have the message. We're giving you the message. The client is any person in power, whether political or otherwise, social or otherwise, in education, any person in power over a constituency that doesn't have a say over their food. This is for them. This is for you. They're all in a fundraising conundrum because there's too few resources and too much need. So everyone has all the excuses as to why it can't happen. We're showing you that it can. So we're saying, take whatever cause you have, take whatever need you have. We'll apply to that. We'll give it to you for free. We don't want anything from anyone. We just want you to realize that it can be done. And it can. Now, if you're looking for tools after you understand what I've said thus far as to, okay, so yes, we see the juicer campaign, understand the theoretical concepts, but we're lacking the tools and the formation. If you want to understand the community side of it, how and where and what can be done with it, look at nas.io. That's why I shared that one. It is not ours, but it's also a manifestation of the things we've been working on for a very long time. Again, if you take the juicer campaign of feeding the children, End Hunger Now, and if you take the modernization and the social side of nas.io with their community building tools, that's open source and free, you should be able to put something together that costs you very little time and very little money. All we're asking for is to show us what you can do, how you understood what we just said, and we will pay you. Because it will pay you, because it will work. Because if it doesn't work, you haven't done your job properly. Because all we want is people to say yes. We don't need anyone to put any money in to make this work, because we have dollar match for everything. We have 5 times dollar match for everything, because once proven, there are people and organizations and companies that want to do this for profit to make up for the side that generates the money for the not-for-profit. At this point, if you still don't understand, ask, but at least listen to this a second and third time, at least read some of the documents that I've shared, at least look at the 2 platforms that I mentioned, the Juicer campaign with the End Hunger Now, and or the nas.io, and then come to me with questions. It should be self-explanatory. If not, then unfortunately you're just not the right person for us. And it's nothing personal, and we're not trying to get anyone to do anything for us. We don't want anything. We don't need anything. I have food, thankfully. I made sure that my children, my grandchildren are fed. I can even take care of my surplus with no money. I can take care of all these constituents, which are cats here. And beyond that, the people around that this is brought together, because the focus is on the cats, not on color of skin, not on age, denomination, pronunciation, ethnicity, or anything. Through the cats, we have proven that there are common causes we can come together, and it isn't even for the right reason. People are just happy that I took away the problems that they were suffering from when the cats were bugging them. That's what this started with. Beyond that, I don't want to talk anymore, because I've been told that I talk too much and it confuses the issues. I've spoken on this message for almost 9 minutes. Good luck.